Hell, it's been a few days in posting, but hell. In a widely circulated video from January 6th, a guy named Paul Hodgkins stands on the floor of the Senate with the staff of his red Trump sycophant flag resting on his shoulder. He sports a mustache, a beard, and a shoulder-length hair. His arms are protected by leathery cuffs like those sold with the Game of Thrones costumes. Goggles dangle from his neck. Behind him, in the presiding officer's spot, um, um, the half-naked QAnon sycophant shaman Jacob Chansley rants about communists and globalists within our government. Today, Chansley is a ward of the government, which is trying to determine if he is physically fit to even stand trial or even face criminal charges. But the guy Hodgkins is the first of those federally charged in the Trumpist attack on the Capitol to be sentenced to prison. In the wake of his sentencing, we shouldn't overlook the fact that years of lies and propaganda issued by the former squatter, Donald Trump and the others, set the conditions for thousands of people to battle police until they gained control of the Capitol, driving senators, representatives, and the vice squatter out of their chambers and into hiding. Um, we were battling 15,000 people. It looked like a medieval battle scene, said police officer Michael Fanone, a week after the melee. He suffered a mild heart attack after being shocked by a stun gun. He heard someone shout, "Kill him," with his own gun. The battle that terrified Fanone exhilarated many of the attackers who seemed to feel as if they were engaging in a dramatic patriotic act, even if they weren't, and even if their grasp of the situation was shaky, and it was demonstrated by the Capitol rioters who thought he was in the White House. Another who wore a gladiator costume filmed himself saying, "Well, Mom, I wish you were here with me. It is in this feeling and in the costuming and weaponry that so many brought to the Capitol that we can find clues to the enduring power of Trump." On January 6th, the world saw people who felt called to action by a fake king-like figure who needed his political tribe's help to restore his rule. And they responded as if they were a part of a giant live-action role-playing LARP game, and not real-world people who would be held accountable. In a similar way, um, millions of Americans are now demonstrating their loyalty to Trump, even though he has no loyalty to them, and they're tried by risking their lives and the lives of others as they refuse to be vaccinated against COVID-19, despite the fact that Trump himself reportedly received the vaccine back in January. Um, Vaccine skepticism has been a problem in the Trump country as the government races to defeat the virus by using inoculation to achieve the so-called herd immunity. As the former squatter Trump had modeled anti-science skepticism by generally refusing to wear a face mask and basically ridiculing the top pandemic advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, he held mass Klan rallies against expert advice and was so effective in politicizing the pandemic that even after he publicly agreed the vaccines were safe, his sycophantic followers lagged in taking it. Um, the bond that Trump forged with his sycophants was created in large part by his appeal to the pre-existing resentment of elites, including experts on everything from climate change to medicine. Remember how he mused about treating COVID-19 infections with bleach? Um, in light, basically, the Republicans have played this game for years, which may explain why the GOP, which would explain why the GOP sycophants have far less confidence in science than Democrats do. Indeed, as historian Naomi Oreskes had noted recently, the um, the GOP sycophantic people have criticized scientists for decades, and even they invented controversies to challenge experts on concerns such as climate change. And with the pandemic, the mindset created by the anti-expert drumbeat made it natural for Republican governors to resist scientists who called for life-saving measures like the mask mandates for public spaces. In the case of vaccines, even the fact that they were developed with funds provided by the Trump administration doesn't seem to have much effect. A Washington Post ABC News poll released 2 weeks ago found that while 93% of the Democrats either have gotten their shots or plan to, only 49% of the Republicans fail to fall into that category. Although income was also related to attitudes about the shot, with the less wealthy people showing more skepticism, this factor was not nearly as important as was loyalty to the GOP and Trump. And anecdotally, it can seem as if vaccine resistance has become part of the culture of resentment that Trump exploited in his campaigns. After years of hearing their man demonize the media, the Trump sycophants may reflexively turn out information that could have saved their lives. When political consultant Frank Luntz convened a focus group to discuss vaccines, when one woman said, a lot of the hesitancy that's coming from the Republican side is just from being bullied, being humiliated, basically by the media, adding, I don't really see the point in getting it if nothing is going to change and I haven't gotten sick. As regions of under-vaccinated Trump country experience surges in cases, many in the Republican wing media are fighting against the government's best efforts to save people from a virus that has killed 600,000 people. The pro-Trump activist Charlie Kirk went on Faux News recently to compare vaccine guidelines to the apartheid in South Africa. And meanwhile, Faux News opinion hosts have repeatedly misrepresented the government policy as they have the vaccine effort. Though notably for this is Sean Insanity. He issued an impassioned plea Monday night for his sycophantic viewers to take COVID seriously and to consider taking the vaccine. Um, like supporting Trump's big lie that says the last election was stolen from him, which it wasn't, and opposition to the vaccine may be shaping up to be a requirement for those who would claim to remain on Team Trump. That this stance requires taking a dramatic risk, and one's own life aligns with the type of thinking that led so many of his followers to heed his call to come to Washington, D.C. and then attack the Capitol with the hope of stopping the final certification of the election results. In both cases, Trumpists caught up in something akin to LARPing will inevitably encounter the real-life consequences in the form of prison term, and hospital stays, or even funerals. Their enablers and defenders will want to blame Trump or argue that their only victims are themselves. Trump and his Amen chorus obviously deserve real blame. But let's also recognize that the actions of these true believers have ripple effects on it. The nation was wounded by the January 6th attack, and it suffers with every hospitalization and death of an unvaccinated Trump voter. Enough with this fucking LARPing. So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out.